Life is a series of goodbyes and hellos, of endings and beginnings, of ups and downs. But how you handle life's exits and entrances will determine the quality of your life. You're listening to Shift Happens Everyday podcast episode number 1. Today, I will be sharing with you a simple mindset shift that will give you a better new year.
If each one of us is a work in progress, and we are constantly being quote unquote worked on by our master creator, then that means every day we are growing. Every day we are evolving. Every day we are expanding. And so that also means that where we are standing right now in life may not provide sufficient space to allow for that expansion. And so what do? We shift. You may not have realized this yet, but you shift every day. We shift positions, we shift gears, we shift directions, we shift perspectives. This is just a natural and beautiful part of life. Hi, this is Myla Saavedra. My weekly podcast, Shift Happens Every Day, is all about finding just the right tiny adjustments we can make every single day to make room for these shifts in life without being overwhelmed or shocked, and most importantly, without the need to be perfect. I invite you to subscribe to my brand new podcast show, Shift Happens Every Day. Episodes will be released once every week. So come as you are, bring your favorite cup of joe, and let's get ready to make a big shift.
Hey there, it's Myla Saavedra. I'm super excited about today because today is when I finally got to launch my new podcast. This is something that has been on my mind for a very long time. In fact, at the beginning of this year, 2021, I made a statement, a public declaration on social media that I will be launching my podcast this year. Well, as it turned out, life took me on a long road trip headed towards a different direction with several detours and stopovers along the way. And unfortunately, podcasting had to be temporarily taken off of the travel itinerary. Yep, life won't be life if it doesn't catch us off guard with a few curveballs once in a while, right? But don't get me wrong, I am not complaining at all. In fact, so many unexpected things that happened to me this year turned out to be wonderful, amazing blessings. But curveballs aside, here we are right now, and you're now listening to the pilot episode of Shift Happens Every Day, my very own podcast show. Yay! But before I continue, allow me to formally introduce myself in case this is the first time you've ever stumbled upon me and you have no idea who I am. So are you ready for that elevator pitch? Oh no, not the elevator pitch. Well, you have no choice. Here we go. I am Myla Saavedra and I am a writer, entrepreneur, educator, mindset coach, and funnel expert. I help female entrepreneurs with 3 major aspects of their business journey. Number 1 is developing a mindset that's hardwired for success. Number 2 is setting up systems and strategies that maximize productivity minus the burnout. And number 3, generating revenue through funnel building. When I started out, I didn't have this level of clarity about what I wanted to do with my life or business. Nope. I didn't even know how to get out of an abusive relationship, let alone step into my own zone of genius and support other people. But one thing I always say is this: God blessed the day when things started to shift in my life. And now, I am just so excited to finally be able to do this podcast and hang out with you once a week, where we get to talk about the 101 ways we can shift our mindset and embrace the many changes that we go through in life. Speaking of shifting our mindset, there's this quote that I'd like to aim the spotlight on right now. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances. This is the opening line from a monologue in William Shakespeare's play, As You Like It, which was written in 1599 and first published in 1623. The monologue was not actually about stage plays or theater. In fact, the theatrical reference was just Shakespeare's way of describing our life here on earth and our journey as human beings from birth to the grave. And since we are literally a couple of days away from saying goodbye to 2021 and welcoming 2022, I thought that this opening line is the perfect way to officially open this whole podcast. Now, I don't have any idea what specific events, challenges, or circumstances you had gone through this year, and what circumstances actually led you here. But whatever they might be, I'm going to tell you right now that how you view the exits of life makes all the difference in the world when it comes to how grand the entrances would be. Endings are hard and goodbyes are tough. I'm not going to dispute that. I cry whenever I say goodbye to someone at the airport, even if I'm going to see that person again in 2 weeks. That's me. There's just something about goodbyes and, the idea of leaving or going away that I tend to associate with painful memories from my past. And I'm going to share more details with you about, some parts of my past in another episode. But add to that my association with goodbyes and the painful memories of my past. Add to that the creepy look of emergency exit doors, right? Which does not help at all. In fact, I've always wondered why emergency exits always come with this horrible, straight from a horror movie red light and a door that leads to a cold, dark, and scary staircase. I mean, of course, we know that these exits actually lead to a safe escape route. But why can't there be any balloons or banners or anything that sends you the message that, hey, it's okay, you can come this way, you're safe? No, right? It has to be that creepy, eerie door. So from that example alone, from that creepy image that I just painted for you, we can all learn something from that. And this is what we learned from that. Some doors might look scary or unappealing on one side, but on the other side, it actually leads to safety or to a better path, to a better place. Certain things in life need to come to an end in order to make room for new beginnings. We need to say goodbye to someone, for example, and end a relationship in order to open up a space for someone else to come along. We need to flip that page of a chapter in order to end that and then begin the next one. At this point, you might be thinking, yeah, well, Myla, some things are easier said than done. And I totally agree. I totally agree with you on that, and I totally get it. But what makes it hard for us to accept the exits, the goodbyes, the endings, is because there's a part of us that refuses to let go. And by letting go, I don't mean completely forgetting the past or, developing all of a sudden an amnesia about it or pretending that none of it ever happened. By letting go, what I mean is releasing all your attachment to the memories of it. Of course, we all naturally want to hold on to the happy memories, the good memories of the past, right? Because remembering brings back the happy feelings as well, the good emotions. It makes us feel good. It makes us laugh. It comforts us. It gives us assurance. It gives us a sense of security about the future. It gives us hope. But at the same time, we also choose to hold on to the painful memories because we think it makes us strong. We think it makes us wiser, smarter. If it happens again, this is what I'm going to do, right? It serves as a reminder not to repeat the same mistakes again, or not to trust the same person again, or the same people again, or to be aware and notice the red flags in case they reappear. The shift here is to release all attachment. Attachment is the key word to both the good and the not so good experiences of the past. And this is why it's extremely important that you do. First, your attachment to the good memories will drive you to have certain expectations of the coming year. So much so, on the surface, there's nothing wrong with that. But you do that too much and you get into the habit of that, you're likely to miss or take for granted anything that falls short of that expectation. This will certainly block the natural flow of abundance and blessings into your life. So an example of this is when you have attained something, a big win this year, 2021, and then next year you aim to do the same thing again. But if you don't, you compare that to the win of 2021, and then you make the conclusion that you failed. You make the conclusion that maybe your win in 2021 was a fluke. Maybe that was just sheer luck. And maybe you're not really that good because for some reason you cannot repeat or recreate the same victory, right? And so now you've already made your judgment. You made up your mind about 2022, your performance and how good you are or not good enough you are, right? And you miss out on the opportunities. You miss out on the actual blessings in front of you. And second, your attachment to the painful memories will prevent you from healing, from progressing, and from experiencing genuine happiness, gems and wisdom in even the most painful experiences that we have. If you're just attached to the memory of it, and along with the memory, the painful emotion that come with it, if you're attached to that, then you won't be able to heal. You won't be able to move on and move forward, head towards a better direction. You're still chained to the past. And as I've said earlier, I'm not saying that you should completely forget the past. This is not all about pretending that they didn't exist or none of it ever happened. But what I'm saying is when you do take a stroll down memory lane, make sure that you pick up the diamonds and not the shards of broken glass. And make sure that you can tell the difference between the two, okay? Focus on the message, not the mess in the experience. View the past as your mentor and not as your tormentor. Focusing on the mess leads to feelings of hopelessness and despair and anger and resentment. Who wants that, right? You don't want to nurture that within your heart. That's toxic. While focusing on the message leads to wisdom and strength in character. Viewing your past as your tormentor leads to fear, while viewing it as your mentor eliminates fear. Huge difference. So, my friend, as you reflect on all your experiences this year, 2021, I urge you that for every joyful and painful emotion that might resurface, take a deep breath, okay? Like breathe in. And as you do, just dwell on the wisdom, the lessons that you got, and the joy also that you have experienced, that you have felt. And then breathe out, releasing any and all attachment that you have to the memory of both the good and the not so good experiences. So you breathe in, remember the good things, cherish them. But even as you remember the not so good ones, cherish the lessons, that you picked up. But as you breathe out, release your attachment to each and every one of them. Is there something that you need to forgive yourself for? Maybe you're still thinking that you have failed because you did not attain a goal that you have set out for yourself at the beginning of the year. And so now you feel like a failure. You feel like a fraud. You feel not good enough, right? Unworthy, undeserving. Maybe you're still beating yourself up for mistakes that you have made this year, for the oversight, for the misjudgments. Or maybe is there someone who needs your forgiveness? Maybe there's someone who has wronged you and you just can't get over that. And you're still probably looking for closure. Is there an unresolved issue that you believe needs some kind of closure? Maybe you're thinking if we can still have that one last conversation and just talk about what went wrong. and maybe get an apology out of this person. Well, sometimes the closure that we're looking for won't come from an apology or that person saying, I'm sorry for hurting you. I was an idiot and I was wrong. That would be ideal, right? But it doesn't happen all the time that way. Sometimes the closure is in our decision to close the door, throw away the key, and move on. Walk away from the door, never looking back, right? Sometimes the closure that we're looking for is not in another person. We don't even have to wait on that other person to realize his mistakes, right? And acknowledge that there was a betrayal of trust that happened. Sometimes the closure is within us. It's all up to us, our call, our choice. So remember, as you reflect back on your year, before we usher in the new year, breathe in. And while breathing in, cherish the memories. Value the lessons that each experience brought. And then breathe out. Release all attachment, all judgment, all blaming, all guilt, all regrets, and all expectations. And breathe again. Breathe in again, welcoming a brand new hope and joyful anticipation for the gifts that 2022 is bringing your way. And they're coming. 2022, my friend, will bring it. Are you ready? That's the question. Now, my friend, thank you so much for joining me today for this pilot episode of Shift Happens Every Day. I can't wait to connect with you again next week and explore more ways to shift our mindset for living a more fulfilling life. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take care and you stay safe, my friend. If you love listening to this podcast, please leave a review in Apple Podcasts and spread the love around by sharing it with your friends and loved ones. I'd sincerely appreciate your support. Thanks for listening to Shift Happens Every Day. You can access the show notes for this episode and all past episodes at www.mylasaavedra.com/podcast. Please join us again in the next episode of Shift Happens Every Day.